Hello, my name is Lorenzo Felix, and this is going to be a presentation on PPO, PPM, term sheets, and due diligence. So in order to fully understand what a private placement memorandum is, I think we first just need to understand what a private placement is and what a memorandum is. And so a private placement is an offering of securities that is not available on the open market, and a memorandum is a written message in business or diplomacy. And when we put these together, we can conclude that a PPM is a legal document that is given to potential investors. And the goal of this document is to give these potential investors the company's objectives, risks, and proposed investment plans. So most private placements are offered under Regulation D, which is just one of the places that private placements are offered. And in 2017, $1.85 trillion was raised in only Regulation D offerings. And Regulation D contains 3 rules that allow exemption status. The first is Rule 504, which exempts from registration the offer and sale of up to $10 million of securities within a 12-month period. And something important to note about Rule 504 is that there are no specific requirements for disclosures to the investors, unlike Rule 506B, which I will go over soon. And Rule 504 does not allow the company to advertise. The next thing I'll talk about is Rule 505, and this allows the company to raise up to $5 million within a 12-month period, and these securities can be sold to an unlimited number of accredited investors and up to 35 non-accredited investors. And the last rule that allows exemption status is Rule 506, and this rule is a little bit special because there's not a limit to the amount of capital the company is allowed to raise. Also, the company does not have to register at the state level or find any state exemption. And under Rule 506B, the company can raise as much capital as they want within 12 months, and it's similar to Rule 505 because the securities can be sold to an unlimited number of accredited investors and up to 35 non-accredited. You cannot advertise under this rule, and one last thing that's really important to add about Rule 506B is that the company is required to make disclosures to their non-accredited investors. And the last rule I'm going to talk about is Rule 506C. And like Rule 506 and 506B, the company does not have a limit on the amount of money that it needs to raise within a 12-month period. The main thing to take away from this rule is that the securities can only be sold to accredited investors, unlike the other rules that I've gone over. And because all the investors under this rule are accredited, there are no rules for what needs to be disclosed to the investor. And one last thing that's special about Rule 506C is that the company may advertise as much as they want without any concerns. And now that we fully understand what a PPM is, I think we could begin to understand the term sheet. And the purpose of the term sheet within the PPM is to outline what is going to be the proposed terms that come after the set of offering documents. And one key thing to note is that the term sheet is not binding. It is only a promise and not a commitment. And within the term sheet, the potential investor can find out the principal terms of the PPM, who the investors are, the amount invested, their rights, preferences, and privileges, the board members and their responsibilities, and a list of other important information. But the main thing to take away from the term sheet is that it's one of the most important parts of the PPM because it's giving the investor all of the key information that has to do with the deal taking place. And then even if the potential investor doesn't plan on reading the entire private placement document, as they can become very lengthy depending on the company, they should at least read the entirety of the term sheet to fully understand the investment and what they're really getting themselves into. Now I will talk about due diligence. And by definition, due diligence is the investigation or exercise of care that a reasonable business or person is normally expected to take before entering into an agreement or contract with another party. So in short, the investor should do their own research on the company that and the deal that they're going to be going into before they sign anything binding. And the business should also do their own research about the investor as well. And so due diligence can sometimes be a legal obligation, but most of the time, it's actually on the investor to do it all voluntarily and on their own time. And also the investor's due diligence should go beyond the documents within the PPM, and they should do further research about any information that could be crucial in being able to evaluate the company and what they're offering. And then when you're doing due diligence of the company, some of the things that can be analyzed further are the industry of the company, its financial analysis, production processes, financial history, key managers and their backgrounds, competition, litigation, contracts, products and services, and there's a long list of other things. And because it can be really risky to invest into a private company, it's always going to be very crucial for the investor to find out as much information as possible about this private company. And just to conclude with everything, a private placement offering or memorandum is a legal document that is given to the potential investor of a private company. And the private placement memorandum is then broken up into sections, one of them being the term sheet, which gives all the key points to the deal taking place. And due diligence is always a very important step whenever investing into a company. And without doing due diligence, the investor could potentially be missing key information the company did not want to disclose because of whatever reason. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.